I read the statement in the newspaper, power barge too expensive, no longer being considered. And I asked myself, how did we reach to that point? Now, what I'm going to say next comes from the Daily Herald of Monday, Tuesday, June 17th, 18th, and is based on the discussion of the Prime Minister, the Minister of VSR/Vromi, and the Minister of Tiat in Parliament. There was a GEBE meeting, and a lot was divulged. So let's run a simple calculation. I'm not even going to get into a overhead discussion, but a simple conversation. We are talking about a barge of 20 megawatt, and that would cost us 3.9 million per month, including fuel. 20 megawatt is 20,000 kilowatt. If you run that 24 hours, that barge is supplying you for 24 hours, 30 days. That's approximately 14,400,000 kilowatt hours. That costs us $3.9 million. Now let's go and do GEBE's calculation for that same amount. GEBE costs us 0.3611, so 36.11 US cents per kilowatt hour. The 25 cents Dutch base rate and the 40 cents fuel clause. Because remember, the other one includes fuel. When you run that conversation, you will realize that that cost is about $5.2 million per month. I have a problem trying to bring the two together. 3.9 million on the batch, 5.2 million by GEBE. I know there are mitigating factors like employees. I understand that. But let us not start to make statements that are not correct. Because I hear them talk about the batch for 6 weeks. And then we go over to containerized power. Because the batch is 3.9 million and the containerized power is $300,000 rental a month. But you need to buy the fuel, sir. And the fuel is a different story. Because the fuel is still 40 cents a kilowatt hour. And if you take 20 megawatt for a month, you will realize that you're paying a lot of money. The barge is feasible. Because there are a few things, Honorable Prime Minister, you are forgetting. As long as this country is load shedding and in darkness, they lose money every single day. If you are telling me that saving about $24 million a year using barge power over GEBE power is a bad thing, then I think we got a problem understanding the right thing. Because this is the problem. 3.9 million, 5.2 million. That's a difference of about 1.3 million. You multiply that by 2 years, you will realize that you're about, not 24, but about 18, 19 million dollars. That's an engine. That's one engine. Paid for. You don't need a loan for that. Paid for. At the end of the day, the barge is handling its own fuel. They have a direct link with Sol. In the calculations, I took a 95% reliability factor, which would just now change over the numbers. But if you look at the numbers I've given you thus far, containerized power between 3.6 and 4 million, the barge 3.9 million, GEBE 5.2 million if they do it themselves. How, in God's name, can you tell me the barge is exorbitantly expensive? Let me give you prices per kilowatt hour so you understand where I'm going. There are 3 barges possible: a 20 megawatt, a 32 megawatt, and a 50, which will be for the whole plant. If you take the 20 megawatt, you will pay delivered to GEBE 27 cents per kilowatt hour. Right now, GEBE produces at 36 cents per kilowatt, a difference of about 9 cents, a savings of about $1.3 million a month. Then you go to a 32 megawatt. The delivered price per kilowatt hour is 23 cents, 23.5 US cents. And your savings, again, GEBE is 36 cents, of 2.92 million per month. Then you go over to a 50 megawatt badge, and the kilowatt price delivered is 22.7 US cents per kilowatt versus the same 36.11 cents, with a savings of $4.8 million a month. When you see these figures, you know what goes through your mind, but bring the 50 megawatt badge and let it run the island through the system while we repair GEBE for the next 2 years. Mind you, your savings is $4.8 million a month, because they are producing electricity at 22.7 cents and GEBE is at 36.1 cents. That is more than half the price. There's a savings of 14 cents on the GEBE present price. That is nearly 50% savings. Let's say 40. When you buy the batch power or the containerized power, are you going to pass on the savings to the people? Or is GEBE going to keep them? It's a simple question that requires a yes or no. We need a complete overhaul of the power plant. And maybe this is the time to do so. Maybe this is the time to make that transition with a batch, that we can work on GEBE, create alternative energy, green energy, solar panels and all those things, wind turbines if need be. We have then time to do that, so that when we turn back over GEBE into operations, we might be 30% cheaper. The fuel clause is a problem. So you have to get away from that. Instead of trying to find a solution for that, you have already committed the country to fuel clause for the next 10 years. Telling me you're going to start 2 years from now with green energy and renewable energy because you want to put on 27 megawatt of engine power or 30 megawatt of engine power, again, that is 60% of the plant, of our capacity. Then I know those engines need, what, 15, 20 years to repair themselves? We're going to be burning fuel. That's what it means. You're reading off of a sheet of paper. And unfortunately, Mr. Prime Minister, you're making a mockery out of this situation, this crisis.